Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP. I'm back with another weapon showcase, and this time we are going to be talking about whips. Now, the whips all have the same moveset and are very similar as far as their damage output. I think there's only like a max of 50 damage difference between them, between the highest and the lowest hitting, with the highest being the regular, and I believe the lowest is the notched whip. Yeah, there's really not much of a difference between them, and because of that, I'm only going to be using the notched whip for this video, and for talking about this, I'll only be using the notched whip, but I will cover some points of the other ones. So, getting started, the whip's move set is really not great, in my opinion. Now, it can't do a riposte or backstab, so that's kind of something that detracts from its use quite a bit, especially for people who like doing those sort of things. Now, it also has a very poor tracking ability with its one-handed R1s. It's really not good at following an enemy around at all. Like, he was just sidestepping and it completely missed him. I mean, that's kind of pathetic. It just was like, hey, I'm gonna R1 at you and you can get a free backstab on me. You know, no big deal, I can take it. No, it's just bad. It's just bad. Now, when it's two-handed, it's a bit different because it's a wide swing and it makes it harder for them to get around you. So that does help a bit with the backstab fissures, but in the end, it's still not a great weapon against them because they can just poise right through it and it won't matter. Now, the whips are pretty good, in my opinion, in the offhand. That's really, in my opinion, where the whips shine. They are great in the offhand, and as you can see right here, even then, its tracking ability, it was horrible. I was target locked to him, and he was barely moving around me, and it just completely missed him every time. It wasn't good at all. So it just is something that you have to keep in mind when you're using a whip and one-handing it. That you want to be mostly using R2 attacks. Unless the person isn't moving sideways at all, like this guy at the end was not. So, yeah. In my opinion, the whip is really, really good for certain things. Fighting people with more than, like, one poise is not one of them. This weapon is really, as the item description of it says, not good at fighting people in heavy armor. It's great, however, at fighting against people who have no poise or very little armor on. It's just extremely effective against them. It works out great. This one specifically bleeds them out fast, and it's just good. The notched whip actually has the same bleed buildup as a katana. I'm not exactly sure what the poison buildup of the Guardian's Tail is, but I'm thinking it's roughly the same as the large club. And by the way, all of the whips can be buffed, so it is possible to put rotten pine resin on the Guardian's Tail and poison someone in like 2 hits. So that's a good plus about it. It leads to fast poison buildup. Now, right here, you can see me fighting a guy who has no poise, and that really shows how effective the whip is. I mean, it was just sort of tearing him apart, and in a couple of hits, I think it's actually the hit I kill him with, I end up bleeding him out. So, it really is quite a good weapon, and right there, I did bleed him out for the kill. So, yeah. And actually, that guy was max level, so that was pretty cool. Now right here, this is where the whip really shines, no pun intended. I am offhanding the whip. Now, in the offhand, this weapon seems to be completely different, at least in my opinion. The reason I'm saying that is because you can parry with it, you can actually hit people with it with an L1 attack, and its tracking ability just improves tenfold pretty much. You can pick people up mid-roll with it. It's just completely different than it was when it was in the main hand. And it's really the exact same move, it's just in the other hand. I don't understand why it seems to improve so much, but it really does. And it lets you get a little chip damage on people on occasion, which it does add up a little bit. It's really good, in my opinion, the notched whip is, at least, for getting the last little bit of bleed damage on people. Bleeding people out with a notched whip is one of my favorite things to do. But that's completely, well, not completely off topic, but it's a little off topic. Now, as I was saying, you can parry with the whip in the offhand, and the parry window it gives is actually pretty large. I think it's a little bit bigger than the parry window that you are given, or that you get when you have a small shield. So the small leather shield like I usually use, the whip has a slightly larger parry window, I think. So what that means is that you have a better chance to parry. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's a great thing. So right here, I healed up against this guy because he was just, I mean, Tranquil Walk of Peace and Wrath of the Gods spam. I mean, come on, dude, come on. I mean, you could do better than that, can't you? Can't you? No, you can't? Oh well. That's okay, and I point down at him because he was being such a tryhard. And I actually fight him again later, and he doesn't use Wrath of the Gods later, so maybe he learned a little bit, but I don't know. Now, this fight is where it really can be seen how much of an improvement that the whip gets when it's in the offhand, as far as its ability to hit people mid-roll. Now, right there, he goes and heals up, which, you know, it's not a big deal. It's my job as a Dark Wraith to keep him from doing that. But, yeah. So, the pros of the whip really come from being in the offhand. It's a great weapon when dual wielding. And in a second, I actually start to hit him right there. I got him once as he was about to roll. Got him again. Caused some bleed build up on that. Got him again when he was rolling. Caused some more bleed build up on that. So even if it doesn't, like, actually hit him, it still will cause the bleed buildup on the notched whip, so that is a good thing. Now, I am really sort of focusing on the notched whip in this video, and that's really because it's the one I use the most often, but the same sort of things can be applied to the other whips as well. They all have the same moveset, and all have the same characteristics as far as that moveset goes, considering their stunning ability and all of that stuff. They're all the same. It's just the little things about them that make them different. I mean, between the notched and the regular, it's the 50 damage or so. Between the notched and the Guardian's Tail, it's the bleed versus poison. So, really, it's all a wash, really. It doesn't matter, because they all are roughly the same enough where I could just sort of lump it into one commentary on it. And really, if the notched whip is so good in the offhand, then I'm sure the other ones are equally as good. And actually, the Guardian's Tail might be a better weapon in the offhand. And the reason I'm saying that is because you actually have a larger thing to hit with. So that might cover more space, and that actually might make it a bit better of a weapon in general. I haven't played around with it enough in PvP to really tell, but I'm going to sometime very soon. So, yeah. Now, this is the last fight, and yeah, that's really all I've got to say. Pros, being in the offhand, its tracking ability is incredible, it can parry, and you can actually do something called a burrito combo. I believe Peeve coined that term with it, where you hit someone with the offhand weapon before you get the riposte in. But that's a thing I can talk about some other time. This is the last fight, as I said, and it's almost over. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.